Hello, my friends. You know, recently I wrote an article about leasing. It was kind of a long article, it was like 1,800 words. And a friend of mine said, hey, Ray, you really ought to do a video on that leasing article because a lot of people won't read past a couple hundred words. And I agree with that. So, folks, here's that video. Why is it that leasing hasn't changed hardly at all since 1980? It's the only component left in the technology reseller world that really has been the same for the last 30 years. And some will say, oh, no, wait a minute, Ray, we're super innovative. We're not innovative if we're just doing pass-through, whatever you want to call it. All leasing companies do pass-through. But here's the deal, folks. Leasing companies provide a service. They provide your end user the ability to buy your product over time by giving them money so they can lease it from you. That's what they do. And over the last 30 years, we've allowed this leasing entity to become the, whatever you want to call it, the trainer of the sales engine for the imaging channel. I mean, we got leasing companies doing all kinds of ancillary services, but those are all being charged for in the money they're giving our customers. Don't all you need is cheap money? Can't we just put that on the table? We just need money. Our customers need money to buy our products. And wouldn't it make more sense if the dealership or the vendor was able to make a little bit of money on that finance instead of giving it all to these leasing companies? Folks, there's a lot of money going to those leasing companies inside those financial transactions. It's not 1980 anymore. We got dealerships out there, $300, $400, $500 million companies. And most of those companies have their own leasing company. And they're going to bring an advantage to the marketplace because they're going to start doing things very, very creative that leasing companies will never be able to do because they won't be able to get out of their own way. And these huge dealers and even some manufacturers will really start delivering consumption models to end users. Consumption models, can you imagine paying for the machine and its service and its supplies as you go based on volume, using real data to come up with a payment that makes sense? It's coming. Can you imagine leases that are written as 5 years but allow the customer just to walk away completely after every year? Well, those things are going to come. Because the true innovation in the imaging channel is really going to be part of that innovation is going to be the component of how the customer engages with that equipment and the financial relationship of it. In other words, SaaS, software as a service, hardware as a service, device as a service, subscription-based business models are exploding. Nearly all components of technology are based on subscriptions. And folks, leasing is a powerful tool in that subscription-based model. Extremely powerful. It allows you to deliver hardware, get the money for the hardware, so your customer can pay then for it over time. But we have to be realistic at what leasing is really worth to us and how much we're willing to pay for that money. Because as everything else declines, we got to move from A3 to A4. That's a reality. Been talking a lot about it. Well, A4 is less money. If you don't put other services in there with the new deal, and you're just replacing an A3 copy with an A4 copy, it's going to be for less money. Service costs are going to be less. Prints in decline or annuity is getting less. So we're going to have to be creative with how we deliver these products and services to the end user. And there's a lot of room for creativity inside the financial piece of the transaction. And we're going to see some really interesting stuff hitting the market. I don't believe it'll be from a lot of the legacy players that are here today because I don't think they're going to get out of their own way. But what I found out recently, there's a whole lot of financial institutions around our borders, and there's a couple that are inside our borders that are looking really hard at figuring out a way to come to market with different alternatives to old strategies. Because why is it that leasing is the only component of the whole entire technology package that really hasn't had any forced change? Well, guess what? I think it's coming. So folks, I'll end my time with this. Status quo is the killer of all that will be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo.